Okay, so we've talked about individual integrity as the foundation
Right.
for Fractegrity, but like,
Yeah.
what happens when those building blocks, so
Yeah.
to speak,
Yeah.
aren't so solid? Does that mean like the whole
Right, well, the system
structure?
is doomed.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Remember that tree with the deep roots?
Yeah.
Even in a storm, it can bend and sway without breaking.
Right.
So fractegrity isn't about being perfect.
Okay.
It's about that resilience,
Right.
that
Yeah.
ability to adapt and grow.
So even if we mess up, make mistakes,
Yeah.
there's still hope for us to
Absolutely.
contribute to a more fractegral world.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
And what's really fascinating is that
Yeah.
even small actions can contribute to this.
Right.
You know, just like a single tile can add to the beauty and strength of a mosaic.
Yeah.
Each act of integrity, no matter how small, can really strengthen the fabric of society.
Okay, I'm buying into this idea of fractegrity. But how do we actually put it into practice?
So how do we...
How do we cultivate that kind of integrity
Right.
in ourselves
Yeah.
and in the systems we're a part of?
Exactly. Well, I think it starts with recognizing that it's not just about following the rules.
Okay.
It's about developing that inner compass,
Mm-hmm.
aligning our actions with our values.
Right.
That's really where the personal growth piece comes in.
You mean like becoming more self-aware,
Exactly.
understanding our motivations and
Yeah.
the impact of our choices?
And it also involves cultivating qualities like honesty, compassion, and empathy. These traits aren't just nice to have.
Right.
They're really essential
Yeah.
for building strong ethical relationships,
Right.
which then ripple outward
Mm.
and contribute to a more fractegral society.
So it's like building those deep roots we were
Sure.
talking
Yeah.
about. If
Mhm.
we're grounded in our values
Yeah.
and committed to acting with integrity,
Yeah,
it's easier to stand firm. Even when things get tough,
absolutely.
we're less likely to get swayed by pressure or make choices that compromise our integrity.
And here's where I think the book's use of fractals is so powerful.
Okay.
Just as a fractal maintains its intricate pattern
Right.
at any scale,
Yeah.
so too should integrity be a guiding principle
Okay.
in all aspects of our lives,
Right.
from our personal relationships to our professional conduct
Mhm.
to how we engage in our communities.
So it's about consistency,
Yeah.
walking the talk,
Yes.
so to speak.
Yes.
Whether we're dealing with our family or our boss or a complete stranger,
Right.
we strive to act from that same place of
Yeah.
wholeness and honesty.
And the book highlights how a lack of consistency,
Okay.
you know, in our values,
Mhm.
our actions,
Yeah.
our expectations of ourselves and others
Right.
can actually erode integrity.
So if I say one thing
Well,
and
yeah.
do another,
Yeah.
or if I hold others to a higher standard than
Yeah.
I hold myself,
Yeah.
I'm creating cracks in that foundation
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
integrity,
Yeah.
not just for myself, but
Right.
potentially for those around me.
Exactly. Those cracks can spread,
Wow.
weakening trust
Yeah.
and ultimately undermining the integrity of the whole system.
That's heavy.
Yeah, it is.
It makes you really stop and think about the
Righto.
choices we make every single day,
Yeah.
even those seemingly small ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they all contribute to that overall pattern,
They do.
both in our own lives
Right.
and in the world around us.
That's a powerful insight.
Yeah.
And I think the book emphasizes that as we start to see the interconnectedness of everything,
Yeah.
we naturally develop a greater sense of responsibility for our actions.
Because we realize that even dropping a pebble in a pond
Right.
creates ripples that spread outward.
Exactly.
Our choices, big and small, have consequences.
Mhm.
We're all part of that same pond.
And those consequences, those ripples,
Right.
can either contribute to greater fractegrity or erode it.
Wow.
It's a constant choice.
Okay, so let's say I'm totally on board with this idea of fractegrity.
Right.
I want to live in a world where it's the norm.
Yeah.
But what about those situations
Right.
where you see a lack of integrity,
Okay.
whether it's in your personal life
Yeah.
or on a larger
Yeah.
systemic level?
Right.
Do you just accept it?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And it's one that the book grapples with as well.
Yeah, it can be so disheartening, you know, when you see a lack of integrity,
Right.
whether it's someone cutting corners at work or,
Right.
you know, bigger societal issues like corruption.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder if
Yeah.
individual actions even really make a difference.
Yeah. I think it's a struggle we all face at times.
Yeah.
And the book acknowledges
Right.
that we can't control other people's actions
Right.
or single-handedly fix broken systems.
Right. Mhm.
But it also emphasizes that we always have a choice in how we respond to those situations.
So even if we can't change the system overnight,
Right.
we can still choose to act with integrity ourselves.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
sometimes that personal integrity can have a ripple effect,
Yeah.
inspiring others to do the same.
Right.
And the book gives some incredible examples of individuals who stood up against injustice,
Right.
even when it was risky.
Yeah.
And their actions became catalysts for change,
Right.
sparking movements and transforming systems.
Those stories always give me hope. It's
Yep.
like, okay,
Right.
maybe one person can't change the world,
Right.
but they can be that pebble
Yeah.
that starts the ripple.
I love that.
And, Fractegrity works in both directions.
It does.
Just as individual integrity can
Correct.
influence larger systems.
Right.
Positive changes at a societal level
Mm-hmm.
can support individual growth and make it easier to live with integrity.
Yeah.
So if we create structures
Right.
that value integrity,
Yes.
reward honesty,
Yeah.
and hold people accountable for their actions,
Mm-hmm.
it creates an environment where integrity can flourish.
Exactly. It's about building that positive feedback loop
Right.
where integrity at all levels reinforces and supports each other.
Okay, so before we wrap up our deep dive into Fractegrity,
Okay.
let's recap what we've learned.
Sounds good.
We started with this idea of integrity as a fractal pattern,
Right.
operating on both a personal and collective level.
Exactly.
We explored how individual actions have ripple effects,
Yeah.
impacting the systems we're a part of. And we saw how cultivating personal integrity, those
Yes.
strong inner roots,
Yeah.
can contribute to a more harmonious and resilient world.
Absolutely.
And we can't forget that powerful equation collective divided by individual,
Yes.
reminding us that there's a balance to be found between individual needs.
With the well-being of the whole.
That's a good point.
What do you think?
I think that if we could actually see those ripples,
Yeah.
see how our actions spread outward and impact others,
Right.
how might that change our everyday choices?
That's such a thought-provoking question.
It's a big one.
It reminds me that even small acts of integrity,
Yeah.
like choosing to be honest
Right.
in a difficult conversation
Yeah.
or speaking up against injustice,
Absolutely.
can contribute to that bigger picture of fractegrity.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Those small acts multiplied across individuals and communities have the power to create profound change.
So as we go back to our own lives,
Yeah.
let's all try to be a little more mindful of our choices,
Right.
a little more intentional about cultivating integrity in ourselves
Yeah.
and in the systems we're a part of.
I love that.
Who knows? Maybe we can all be part of building a world where fractegrity becomes the norm.
That's a world I think we'd all like to live in.
Totally. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Thanks, everyone.